Hi, Dana Sparks, broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors. And this week's contract tip has to do with material relationships. According to Beretta, the Broker Real Estate Transactions Act, which went into effect in 1994, you must disclose a material relationship in your real estate contract. Now, Beretta defines a material relationship as any actually known personal, familial, or business relationship between the broker or the broker's affiliated licensee and a client, which would impair the ability of the broker or affiliated licensee to exercise fair and independent judgment relative to another client. So you need to basically, that client of yours, if you have a material relationship with that client, you are going to interact with them a little bit differently, giving them a little bit more care than you would a client that you got for the first time interacting with them. A material relationship is, for example, your spouse, your family, loved ones, someone that you are seeing socially, a business partner, a best friend, someone that you grew up with, a past client. Now, the past client aspect, that's very important. Many agents fail to disclose a past client as a material relationship or an ongoing client. And it definitely is a material relationship because you have an ongoing business relationship with that person. But I want you to think about how that interacts with agency as well. For example, let's say that you received a referral of a buyer and you met with the buyer and you spoke with the buyer and you ended up working with that buyer as a client. You signed the buyer to a buyer brokerage agreement and you started showing homes and you're working with that buyer definitely as a client. Then all of a sudden you get a phone call from a past client who wants to sell his house and potentially buy another house from you as well. Well, you go and you know that house because you sold it to him, and it turns out this house from your past client, who is now going to be your seller, is the absolute perfect house for your new buyer. Well, you're already engaged in a client relationship with your buyer, and paperwork-wise with your seller, you have not already signed a listing agreement because you're going to construct the deal. But you can't really sign an authorization to show unlisted property with this seller, creating a customer relationship, because you, in essence, you already do have a client relationship with this seller by virtue of your material relationship with this seller. So in this situation, you would go ahead and sign the listing agreement with your seller, and that creates a client relationship because in essence you already had a client relationship, as I mentioned, due to the material relationship with this seller. And as long as both parties consent, you are in a dual agency situation. You need to check with your broker to see if that is in line with the brokerage's policies or if you can get special permission for that dual agency situation. But again, a material relationship in and of itself basically creates a client relationship with that public person and you, the affiliated licensee, and your brokerage. Just parenthetically, a material relationship describes the relationship between you as the affiliated licensee and your broker and the public buyer or seller. An arm's length transaction, you will see that referenced in your contracts, especially your FHA contracts. An arm's length transaction basically describes any type of material relationship between the buyer and the seller. Thank you so much for watching. Again, Dana Sparks, broker of Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realtors, satisfying your needs with service, innovation, and education.